As a leader in tech recruitment, I know that doubling our consultants' market engagement and significantly increasing client meetings isn't just a goal, it's an imperative. That's exactly why we chose Pager as our partner on this journey. In tech recruitment, personal brand is everything. Our consultants need to be visible, market experts, engaging authentically with clients and candidates. It's about building trust through consistent, meaningful presence. When we evaluated technology investments for our business, we needed a solution that would scale with us and deliver clear return on investment. User adoption and efficiency gains were crucial criteria for us. Pager stood out immediately because it solves real problems our consultants face daily. What really excites me is replacing a number of tools with one that is much easier to use for our recruiters, and everything is all in one place. We've been able to save money and bring in a new platform to the business where the business development features alone are better than other recruitment tech on the market. From a content perspective, the suggestions and automated job posting capabilities means our consultants will be attaining a strong market presence in just a few minutes every single day. Using tech to reduce the legwork so our consultants can go out to market and build meaningful relationships is so important to me. What's impressed me most in these early days is the onboarding experience. Having Darren, the CEO, here today shows Pager's commitment to our success. Their hands-on support approach gives me complete confidence that our team will be getting maximum value from this product from day one. This isn't just about implementing software, it's about transforming how we operate. We see this as a long-term partnership because Pager truly understands recruitment and shares our vision for empowering consultants with the right tools. I'm excited to see our consultants elevate their market presence and win more business while saving time. This is about enabling our team to focus on what they do best, building relationships and placing great candidates in the market. Working with a partner like Pager, we know we're providing our consultants with the tech to future-proof them and us as a business. Posting job ads on job boards isn't what the future of a recruiter is. A compelling personal brand that attracts clients and candidates is. Pager's already generating candidate applications from consultant niche networks, not just from a mass market. If you're looking to empower your recruitment team while saving valuable time, I'd strongly recommend having a conversation with Pager. We're confident they're going to transform how we operate, and I'm excited to see the results.
All right, well, that was cheeky, wasn't it? A video we've just published this week, and I put it at the start of a webinar because usually when you're waiting for people to join these things, you have those few moments where we go, we'll just wait for the last few people to join. So I thought I would slip that in there as an advert for us. Hopefully it gives you an insight into what our clients are thinking about us. And as Ben touched on at the end, the future of recruitment isn't about posting job ads on job boards. It's about compelling personal brands and how they're going to help recruiters develop business, win new clients, and keep in touch with their communities that they're building. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. So this is the start of a series of live webinars that we're going to be running over the next weeks and months. And although a lot of recruiters out there have adopted LinkedIn from a building a personal brand perspective, as opposed to just using it as a glorified CV database, essentially, we still see huge amounts of recruiters that have not really got into the kind of habit or the mindset of being a content producer, being someone who publishes information about what their expertise is and what they do. So if anyone's watching this and they think, well, I've got this nailed, I post content 2-3 times a week, I share content from my company, I keep my prospects up to date with the projects I'm working on, I keep top of mind with my clients and all of that sort of stuff, then this might not be the session for you. It's a starting point where we're aiming to give you some insights to break down the barriers just to get you started. So I think what we'll talk about today is mainly reasons why people don't take that step. So they probably spend a hell of a lot of browser time with LinkedIn open, but are they then doing anything proactive on there, or are they just seeing what's going on? So this session is mainly aimed at you. If you're watching and going, oh yeah, I'm on LinkedIn right now, but I haven't posted for 6 months, or I've never posted, only shared a job. Hopefully we'll touch on a few things that break down that barrier and make you think slightly differently about it. If your mindset is, nah, it's not for me, then I'm not going to convince you to start creating content. If your mindset, however, is, I want to do it, I just haven't got the confidence, then that's what we're going to touch on today. So let me just pull some slides up, and that will help me guide through the conversation. So I'm well aware that there's only 30 minutes on this slot today. We want these sessions to be relatively fast paced. Any questions or information that people have got, feel free to drop them in the comments, but I might not be able to answer them as we go because I want to get through this fast and I have a tendency to waffle at the best of times. Make 2025 the year you take your personal brand seriously. So this is for you if you think you need to be building a personal brand. You're a recruiter or you support a team of recruiters as a marketer perhaps, and you're looking to encourage more of them to adopt social selling with LinkedIn as the kind of focal point of that strategy, then hopefully this content will help you as a marketer as well to distribute it to your teams, whether you share this link with them or kind of make some notes and explain to them why it's not that scary to post on LinkedIn. And who knows, they might start running sessions like this themselves for their audiences in time. So first, what is a personal brand? Let's kind of dissolve some of the noise and what I'd class as airy-fairy stuff around what a personal brand is. So in marketing terms, when we say what is a brand, it's often pitched as a brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. So how do you influence that and change people's perception of it? It's no different when it comes to you as an individual. So if you think about what your peers, colleagues, clients would think about you when they're not there, would they be saying things like, he's very good at what he does, he always does what he says he's going to do, he delivers on time? Or are they saying, yeah, he talks a good game, but the last time I got something on time was 3 weeks ago, and he's every day he's late to a meeting. Anyone watching this who knows me knows I'm having a dig at myself there, especially with the tardiness on meetings. You want people to be saying stuff about you that sheds your profession in a positive light and you as a professional in a positive light. And we break that down into these components. So it's your identity. You can't really change that, but you can change how it's publicized and broadcast to the rest of the world. Your personal values, which is really important, not necessarily intrinsically linked to the company values your employer sticks on the wall of the boardroom. It's what's meaningful to you. Your expertise and your background, and sometimes the more experience you've got lends itself to enabling you to put more expertise into your personal brand, because let's face it, you've got that experience, so you can do that. If you're earlier in your career and you think, oh, I don't have that much expertise just yet, well, that's not to say you don't have a personal brand. You still do. And whilst your career is perhaps in its infancy, no better time to adopt this as part of the strategy for your entire career in recruitment or marketing, supporting recruiters. And then your personality. So if you've got a personality that likes to have a laugh and a joke, or likes to take the sting out of serious things by being somewhat funny about them, then there's no damage in letting that shine through, so long as it stays within the confines of appropriateness in a professional environment. All of that added up equals how people perceive you. Now, we're in a world where face-to-face meetings are still incredibly important, but there's no getting away from they're not as accessible and they're not as frequent as many of us in recruitment jobs would like them to be. If you're meeting people in face-to-face scenarios, it's a little bit easier somewhat for you to express yourself, your personality, your expertise, your values, and even your identity. And that lets people take away a perception of you. Now, you might be very good at that, but you spend 80, 90% of your working life sat behind a computer screen or on a phone. That therefore doesn't allow you to translate those things in that one-to-one or one-to-many environment of a networking event or an expo or something like that where your target audience is. So this is all about getting the confidence to translate what you would do in person and take it online. So who you are, what you stand for. Now, values is a really tricky one because I think we just jump to the conclusion that it means authenticity, integrity, and whatever else is probably on your boardroom wall. What I kind of implore people to do, happy to share a link to a website that allows this to be done really easily, is go through an exercise where you start the process with a load of words that are values, essentially, and work through and choose a number of them that are appropriate to you. Now, the website I'm happy to share is um, a quick way to take, I don't know, 50 words, narrow it down to the 20 that are meaningful to you, and then from the 20, narrow it down to 10, and from the 10, narrow it down to 5. And what you're left with is personal values. Now, that might be authenticity, it could be something like honesty. And it is easy to slip in the realms of cliche when we look at words like that. But when I went through the exercise, what I noticed is some of those words were genuinely more meaningful to me as an individual. Now, once I've honed in on that, it allows me to think about when I'm creating content and posting it on LinkedIn. Yes, it's got to be um, mainly professional related, mainly content that would help my target audience. But equally at the same time, it's got to be anchored to one of my values. If everything I post doesn't sit well with what my values actually are, then that's not true representation of who I am online. So, or who I am, sorry, portrayed online, and it just becomes a little bit false. So, if you've never done a values exercise in any team building or projects you've done at work, and you've never been involved in a business's value discussion or generation, I would encourage you to do that because I'd see it as anchor points. Once you've got those 4 or 5 values, you can then align them to, right, I'm going to create some content and post on LinkedIn as part of my personal brand strategy. I'm going to really hone in and do 2 or 3 posts a week. And every time it's got to at least include something that aligns to my personal values. Unique value proposition. What can you do? What can you bring that's different to other people who do a similar job to you? All recruiters aren't alike. They're all individuals. They all have different traits, experiences, backgrounds. So anything you're looking at and thinking, yeah, but that's just the same as anyone. Well, when you add that with your values and your identity, it starts to create a combination of things that are unique to you. So don't look at it and go, well, I am no different because I'm just a recruiter doing tech recruitment at a tech recruitment firm, and there's another 100 out there that do exactly the same as me. You've got to look inside what you've done and what your experiences are, and the things you naturally say to a prospective client. Prospective, that was a funny way to pronounce that. A prospect client that you would pitch to on the phone. What would you tell them that? Why should they work with you? Is it because you've got the biggest candidate database? I doubt it in this day and age. I don't doubt that you've got it. Everyone's got the biggest. But I doubt that that's the thing that makes the client go, do you know what, Kieron? I'm going to work with you. You've portrayed yourself really well. You've pitched really well. And I can see what makes you different. If you're speaking to clients and telling them things that make you different, then that's what you need to transfer across to your personal brand and your content on LinkedIn. Skills and expertise, again, pretty similar. Like what does set you apart? Are you a first aider as well as a recruitment consultant? Have you got stuff that adds value to your persona outside of what you do as a day job? Don't doubt that that's important at explaining who you are online. So we won't get too much into the this isn't Facebook or this isn't Instagram debate. And there's a very fine line between personal content that adds value and personal content for the sake of personal content. I genuinely don't see any harm in weaving things about my personal life into my online content that I produce, because when I then meet people in person, we can have conversations around things I've shared, whether it's football teams, whether it's my family makeup, what hobbies and interests I've got. I'm not going to do that every day, but it certainly paints a picture about me, who I am, and more than just what I do as a day job as a marketer. Personality. So again, how do you communicate in that work environment? How do you come across to your clients and candidates on the phone? What do colleagues think are your better communication styles? Now, again, if you've got specific strengths and weaknesses in that, documenting them and making a note alongside things like your values, again, will act as an anchor when you think, should I post about this? Should I not post about that? you're almost building up a checklist of things that you can say, right, every time I want to create some content, I'm going to make sure it anchors to these things. And visibility, ultimately, you are interested in watching me talk about this today because you're interested in becoming more visible online. So not to suggest that this is the only way to go about it, creating LinkedIn content, but if you think about how are you going to be more visible to your target audience, this is a strategy you can employ. So compile all these things that you see on the slide. I'm just very wary of time. We're already 15 minutes in. I told you about the waffling. The need for personal branding as a recruiter. So we've got that backbone, that structure, what we're going to do to sort of anchor our content in the future and why we're going to get going. But why do you need to do it? Well, you've obviously got an inkling as to it being something you should consider doing, but why do you need to do it? So I think back in, I suppose, the early 2000s, where digital channels were taking over the industry, not just recruitment, most kind of office-based roles, the adoption of things like email, taken away from face-to-face, taken away from telephone as the way to get through to as many people as possible. There's probably been a period of time where we've had a huge overlap from people of an era that could be very successful at recruiters as recruiters without employing any of this sort of stuff. But what's started to happen now is the generation of talent and candidates and clients coming through are more social media savvy, digital natives, whatever phrase you want to wrap them up in. So they're coming through with an expectation that the people they communicate with, not just in their personal lives, but in professional lives, are accessible on social media. So yes, you will no doubt have colleagues who say, I've always billed well, I don't need a social media presence, I don't need a personal brand. That's absolutely fine. If they don't want to do it, that's their choice. However, if you take two people who are equally as good and one's got a dominant personal brand and is in front of their audience more often than the other, there's only one winner in that equation when it comes to new business development, attracting the right candidates. Over time, the audience will progress to expect you to be on more than LinkedIn. They will want to see your presence on other channels where they spend their time. So if your audience doesn't predominantly spend time on LinkedIn, you have to then start to think about stuff outside of that. So this is why you've got to think about it. It's not necessarily say all of your colleagues will adopt it, but if you are watching this and you tuned in, it can be a differentiator, and it is for many. So with 30,000 agencies, 200,000 recruiters, what are you doing that's different to compete with them? You can all send the CVs, you can all cold call, you can all send mass emails. What is it that's differentiating you? You've probably got one opportunity to really differentiate yourselves amongst an audience when you are stacked up against your direct competitors. And I would say that's the approach to building personal brand. The benefits of it, pretty straightforward. Strong personal brand. If you focus on it and build it over time, you will receive more inbound approaches from people that either want to work with you to hire people or candidates coming to you to help them find work. The more you develop a personal brand that speaks to your exact target audience, the less you will get inundated with messages from every Tom, Dick, and Harry saying, "Oh, you're a recruiter, can you get me a job?" So another reason there to build your profile as a niche recruiter and what you specifically do ultimately is that aspect of the audience that you're curating over time will be specific about what you do, what you recruit, and what industries you service. So more candidates, more placements, tongue-in-cheek, Cole Palmer image there to say everything gets a little bit easier once you've developed a personal brand. It's not a quick fix, but as a career recruiter, you know that the development of your experience, expertise, and list of clients that you've worked with regularly wasn't a quick fix either. So if building personal brand is one of your goals this year and it's not got off to a great start, you've probably started with an idea that, do you know what, I'm really going to give it a go this year. 2-3 times a week, I'm going to create content. And what are we now? We're already in March and it's kind of fallen flat. You've not done it. So some of the reasoning behind that And it really stems from the kind of human psyche, psychology, and ultimately what I'd position around ego. People tend to hear the word ego and think of perhaps people like, showing my age here, but people like Robbie Williams, or someone who's just out there and loud and confident. Ego's not actually that. That's someone who's promoting an ego loud and proud, whereas we've all actually got an ego. And oftentimes it is the ego within us that is preventing us from creating content. So 3 years ago, would I want to have done this session at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, broadcasting it to potentially 50 people, 20 people? No, I wouldn't have been confident enough to do it. Am I confident in doing it now? I would say I'm a bag of nerves before coming on live, but I also value the fact that this is an opportunity to get in front of an audience who is relevant to the job I do and is relevant to the company and product my company sells. So if me doing this and going slightly out of my comfort zone generates new business opportunities, then I think that's the reason I've come to terms with doing stuff like this. Anyone watching this that doesn't know me, well, I could say something daft and we'd probably never meet in person. Anyone who does know me, I would hope that my personal brand is pretty aligned to how I am in person and what I do. So I think you do have to almost get over that ego thing inside us. And it's not ego as in the big I am, it's that ego that's sometimes holding us back. The biggest reason and the fear is being judged by other people. So some of the things we tell ourselves all the time is scared that people will think I don't know enough about my market. Well, anyone reading it, if you're sharing concrete information about your market, then that judgment's out of the window straight away. What if people laugh at me? Good, because laughter makes us all feel better. If you're doing it to be purposely funny, that's great. If you are doing something and your colleagues are taking the mickey out of it, you are a natural. Oh, Darren. As daft as it sounds, when people say stuff like that, it does make the nerves dissipate. So appreciate that, Darren. What if my ex-colleagues see it? So what? Don't be embarrassed about it. You're doing your job. What if my content isn't as good as everyone else's? Well, we're not going to be, I don't like saying the names because they're usually not particularly people I like to associate with or promote, but let's say Gary Vaynerchuk in the marketing world, or Stephen Bartlett. Your content's never going to be as good as people, and when I say good, I mean in terms of reach and engagement, not necessarily quality. There is always someone out there that's better, someone creating better posts, better images, better videos. A recruiter on the next desk over from you creating a post that gets engagement with. You will never know if you don't post it. Before you ask yourselves any of them things, so this is a bit of a mantra from us, you're not going to let the fear of being judged be the thing that stops you posting. Ultimately, if you firmly believe this is an opportunity to develop a personal brand, tap into social selling and generate more business, that should far outweigh any concerns of someone taking the piss out of you. Let's face it. So it's about mental shift, move the ego a little bit. So instead of asking yourself or questioning yourself on things like, oh, what if no one likes it? What if no one reads it? What if no one engages it? Ask, how can I inspire someone with my post? Can I encourage someone to follow the suit of a candidate or a client I've dealt with in the last week where we've got a really positive outcome for someone's career, or if it's a client, someone's team, that's then allowed them to excel at their job? If you've had that experience offline, on the phone, over email, how can you post about that to say other people in that position will build confidence from what they're doing and go, okay, yeah, that resonates really well. So how can you inspire someone? Not how will you be judged? How can you add value? What could you talk to your audience about that will perhaps make a difference to them today? Maybe, yeah, being I suppose, very arrogant about this and not meant to come across as arrogant, but me doing this today, will I inspire someone to go and post something on LinkedIn? Hopefully, that's the point in this, get you moving progressively forward at developing personal brand. If you do, tag me in it, because I'd like to see whether that resonated. And how do you showcase your knowledge? So if you're very good at something, you have that intrinsic knowledge. It's not egotistical to share that with the world. Just crack on with it and share it. It will benefit someone else. Don't over concern yourself about what other people think. Perfectionism is something a lot of people suffer from. They will ruminate on doing something the right way. I'm guilty of this myself, and it can be often be the hindrance of producing something. So as a marketer, we often strive for perfection, thinking if it goes out imperfect or with a typo, it's the end of the world. It is 100% not. And studies show that if you make a cock up in marketing, sometimes it reaches more people than without an error. So don't overthink it. No one's perfect, right? No perfect company, no perfect recruiter, no perfect individual. We only learn by doing. So if we produce content that's imperfect and you get some criticism, well, we learn by it, and don't let that stop you. One mistake doesn't mean you should never try again. Done is better than perfect. Yeah, I've struggled for years to align to that mantra, but more than one manager or boss has said it to me. Ultimately, the test bed for whether something is good is whether someone reads it, engages it. You're not going to be an expert from day one. So trial and error, trying different forms of communication, different types of LinkedIn posts is what you will learn from. And just on that note, if people are watching and thinking, I thought this was going to be more about what to post, when to post. It's not to say we won't cover that in future sessions. We've got a plan to do these every few weeks with different content. This one's about giving you that confidence to get going. So if you are more interested in the type of content, how to create content, what sort of stuff resonates best, do keep an eye on our future sessions. A big one for me, and this works really well, even once you are creating frequent content yourself, is joining in conversations before starting conversations. It is so much easier. Imagine you're in a room, a networking room, traditional face-to-face, and you walk in and you make a beeline for the pan of chocolate and the coffees, and you put your head down a bit and think, oh God, who should I introduce myself to? I'm sweating just thinking about it. And then actually, while you're queuing up for a coffee, there's a conversation at the side of you, and it's two individuals who don't know each other, and they've happened to spark up a conversation, and they talk about trends in the industry that you work in. So much easier than to say, oh yeah, I do something similar to that. We're noticing a similar pattern. You've joined the conversation, and it's so much easier than starting a new one. The same can be said for LinkedIn. So find posts that are relevant to your sector, your industry, and your expertise, and impart your knowledge that way. It's a great way to take kind of baby steps into producing content. LinkedIn has introduced a feature now where you can see, I don't think everyone's got access to it just yet, but you can see the amount of impressions your comments get. So that should start you on the path to going, okay, if so many people have seen this and then someone responds to my comment, I know what I'm talking about. And that gives you the confidence to put it out there as your own post or something similar as your own post. I've noticed the time. It's a minute and a half to go. I'm on slide 18 of 30. I don't think we're going to squeeze all this in. And I'm well aware the platform we're using will have a cut off on 30 minutes. So I apologize for not getting through the entirety of the content. What we'll do is a recording of the rest of this session and share it with anyone who's interested. So just comment that you want the rest of the slides and my presentation to follow up. We will bear this in mind for future content in order to get more airtime in the sessions. It might take us an hour or just a faster presenter. And I don't want to rush through the last bits and then leave it undone. So if you have found value in this and you go ahead and post something, make sure you tag me. If you want to see the rest of this presentation followed up with a recording, I will happily do that and share it in the comments of the event on LinkedIn. Keep your eyes out for the follow-up sessions that we'll be running. So we will run this as a series that takes you from not having confidence through the entire process of building your audience and how you can become a frequent poster on LinkedIn. I hope what I've shared is a great starting point for those who are lacking the confidence and a sanity check on not overthinking it, watch what other people do, and take that commenting as your first step. So comment on other people's content will get you on the road to becoming more confident in creating and posting your own content. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate you showing up, mate. Always like to get some confidence from you. I'm going to leave it there because I'm aware on certain channels I will have already been cut off. Thanks for tuning in, and look forward to give you some more information. Ludwig, I will share that values website with you soon. And yeah, hope to get some feedback on that exercise if you all do it too. Cool. Thank you very much.